Hey there, welcome back to Babeliacast. I'm Kai, your friendly host, here to chat about all things related to English learning, culture, and the little slices of life that connect us all. Today we're diving into a topic that's near and dear to my heart, pets and animals. Now, this isn't just about naming different types of animals or listing off what they can do. This is about how they fit into our lives and what they teach us, in their own special way. I want to start by taking you back to a time when I was just a kid, dreaming of having my own little companion. Growing up, I was absolutely fascinated by animals. I loved them all, from the tiniest insects crawling around in the garden to the big wild ones I'd see on TV. But what I really wanted was a pet. I think for many of us, a pet is often the first real connection we have with another living being that needs our care and attention. So my story begins when I was around 10. I remember it like it was yesterday. I had been begging my parents for a dog for what felt like forever. I went through all the usual tactics. Promises of being super responsible, doing extra chores, and even writing a letter, laying out an in-depth plan of how I'd care for it. But my parents were skeptical. I think they imagined the dog would end up being more work for them than for me. Then one day, my dad came home with a surprise. It wasn't a dog, but a small, furry, energetic hamster. I called him Max. At first, I was a bit disappointed. I had my heart set on a dog. But Max turned out to be the perfect introduction to responsibility and companionship. He was small, yes, but he had a big personality. Having Max taught me a lot about patience and routine. Hamsters are nocturnal, so they're most active when you're trying to sleep. At first, it was annoying hearing him scurry around his cage at night. However, I soon found comfort in the little noises he made. It was like having a tiny roommate with its own schedule. I had to learn to adapt, which was a big lesson at the time. Another thing was feeding him. I had to make sure he had fresh food and water every day. It might sound simple, but for a 10-year-old, it was a big deal. I remember this one time I forgot to refill his water before school. I spent the whole day worried that he'd be thirsty, and the minute I got home, I rushed to his cage to find him looking quite content, probably because my dad had topped it up. Still, that moment made me realize how much I cared about him. Taking care of Max also taught me to appreciate the little things, like watching him stuff his cheeks with food. It was fascinating and hilarious all at once. Those small, everyday moments turned into cherished memories. Now, you might wonder how this connects to my love for gaming and technology. Well, one of the coolest things back then was a virtual pet game I played on my computer. It was one of those early simulation games where you had to care for a digital pet. I remember thinking how crazy it was that this game mirrored real life with Max. Of course, the game was easier. You could just restart if something went wrong. But it made me realize that real life doesn't come with a reset button, which is why taking responsibility is so important. Max lived for about 3 years, which is a decent lifespan for a hamster. Saying goodbye was tough. It was my first experience with loss, and it wasn't easy. I realized then how much pets can mean to us, becoming part of the family. They teach us about love, commitment, and even grief. After Max, we eventually got a dog, which was like a dream come true for me. But I always remember Max as my first pet, the one who taught me the ropes. It's funny how a small creature can have such a big impact on your life. I often think about how pets, whether they're small like Max or big like a dog, shape our lives in ways we don't always expect. On the other hand, having a pet also teaches you to live in the moment. Animals don't worry about tomorrow. They live for today. They remind us to enjoy the simple pleasures, like a walk in the park, a good game of fetch, or just lounging around on a lazy Sunday. It's like they have this hidden wisdom that we as humans sometimes forget. And just like in gaming, where every character has its unique attributes and skills, every pet has its own quirks and personality. They might not be saving the world like a video game hero, but they can save a bad day just by being there. They offer a kind of companionship that's pure and uncomplicated. To be honest, even now, when life gets a bit too hectic, I find myself looking back on those moments with Max. It reminds me of the simple joys and important lessons I learned. It's a bit like finding a rare item in a game, unexpected but valuable. So if you have a pet or are thinking about getting one, remember it's not just about having them around. It's about what they can teach you and how they can enrich your life. They might just be the best teachers you never knew you had. Well, that's my story for today on Babeliacast. I hope you found it relatable or at least a little entertaining. Thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to sharing more stories and insights with you. Until next time, take care and keep learning with Babeliacast. See you soon.